Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back again to the Balance Podcast here. I'm Chaplain Tony Repic at the 111th Attack Wing at Bang B, which is Biddle Air National Guard base. And if you've tuned in before to our podcast, you know that this is all about the 4 pillars of comprehensive airman fitness. And every guest we bring in, every conversation we have, it's all about mind, body, social, spiritual, or mental areas of our lives to improve us as people, make us more effective at work, and just more successful in life. So today I'm excited about a guest that we have, one of our awesome recruiters here at the 111th. Her name is Chelsea Coia. I'm going to ask her to share her background with you in a second, but today she's here to talk about fitness. And as you can see, I mean, look at the guns. She's in great shape, but I really think this is an important topic to discuss, not just coming out of the pandemic, but just in life in general. So Chelsea's going to share some really interesting perspective on staying fit, getting in shape, working out, and getting through some mental blocks and challenges. So Chelsea, thank you so much for joining me today. Tell us a little bit about your background, what you did prior to the Air Force, and what you're doing in the Air Force right now.
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much, first of all, for having me on today. So a little bit about me. I joined the Army National Guard. I was right out of Southampton Road in Philadelphia at the Armory right there. I joined in around May 2014, and I was a CBRN specialist, so that's chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear. Went to basic and tech school through the Army. Actually got the opportunity to transfer here to the 111th in July 2017. I had met Sergeant Flagger, actually, and he talked to me about, the process of transferring over, and, I had to kind of just weigh my options, and I was like, I'm just going to take a chance. So I've been here, it'll be 5 years in July, and then I got the opportunity to be a production recruiter for the 111th. Took that opportunity. I really love it here, really love this base, and I'm excited to be here today.
That's awesome. Yeah, so in the Army you were CBRN, but it used to be called NBC, and we used to joke because I was in the Army as well. Nobody cares,
yeah,
right?
Nobody cares.
But we all care over here in the Air Force, right?
Yeah.
Compared to the Army. So no, yeah, it's a good thing. So let me ask this question to kind of kick us off today. So again, thanks for jumping in here. Were you in the shape you are now when you were in the Army as well? Has this been like a lifelong pursuit for you?
So I would say I started my fitness journey probably right before I joined the Army. I kind of got into fitness through a friend of mine who used to start taking me to the gym. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was always like a hard gainer. I was always like super skinny, maybe a little taller compared to most females, but I was always very, very, very skinny. Very, very hard for me to gain weight. Yeah. I was always very athletic, but as far as working out in the gym, really, besides just playing sports, didn't really know much of what I was doing. I kind of found the gym as an avenue that I fell in love with. It started getting me through some hardships in my life, whether it be, family issues, loss of family members, death, relationship issues, job struggles, not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. I felt kind of lost. Career-wise, I wasn't in school, and the gym just kind of helped me give me an avenue of something that was building self-confidence in myself.
Mm-hmm.
If I had $1 for every time I had self-doubt, I'd be a multi-millionaire by now. But
yeah.
It gave me this kind of mindset of always just bet on yourself, and I just I never looked back. So probably been in the gym about 7 years now.
Wow.
I've gone through stints where I was on and off in the gym.
Yep.
Life gets crazy, or if I was away, family stuff going on, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But I always found my way back, and I've always stayed consistent throughout these years. And I think fitness is what opened the door for me to kind of fast track a lot of my success and a lot of the things I've been able to accomplish in other areas of my life, because of the fact it's given me so much self-motivation, self-direction, self-discipline. You really have to be dedicated to yourself in order to achieve fitness goals.
That's awesome. And, as we were kind of talking about sitting down today, and I don't like to script anything. I really don't. Maybe a few questions here and there, but you mentioned something to me. You kind of touched on it, but I want you to go a little deeper. This idea of how fitness and taking care of your body and, breaking the body down so it can stay strong also spills over into every area of your life. And so I think I see it this way. I mean, we're talking about the 4 pillars of comprehensive airman fitness. I don't see how you can't at least be doing something in each. The balance podcast, right? How do you balance your life to hit these 4 areas? And today it's fitness, but how interconnected they all really are as well. So flesh it out a little bit, because you mentioned fitness helped you with self-confidence and some struggles. So
yeah, exactly. Like, I think fitness is somewhat of a foundation. When I first got into the gym, I did not enjoy it. I didn't know what I was doing. And you find when you don't know what you're doing, when you don't enjoy something, it makes it very difficult to get up every day and go do it.
Absolutely.
Just like, everything else. If you're not happy in a relationship, if you're not happy at your job, if you're not connecting with yourself spiritually, if you are a spiritual person or not. But if you're lacking in one of these areas, it affects everything else. Yeah. So for me, fitness personally is my avenue to help me through struggles in my life. So I feel like you need to have respect for yourself, and so I think fitness is the number one thing with that, having respect for yourself. If you can have enough respect for yourself to take care of yourself physically to where you look good, you feel good, you're eating good, your body is healthy, your body is a machine, and you're giving it what you need to kind of progress and get through. And fitness is a very hard journey. So if you can stay self-motivated and self-dedicated enough to progress physically, it spills over into every other area of your life, because mentally you're strong-willed now. If you could push through in the gym every day, even on the days you don't want to go, even if you're hurting, even if you're not seeing the changes that you want to see, if you just get up and show up every day and just work hard at what you're doing, even if you're not good at it yet, you're going to eventually be the best at what you're doing. Because some people that are naturally good at something, they're not putting in as much work as you. Mm-hmm. So if you're constantly showing up every day and putting in the work, you may not see it right now, but 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, people are going to look at you as the go-to, like you're the best, and they're going to be where you were when you first started. So I think it's super important to just, have respect for yourself. What I see a lot in younger people is people have a tendency to, have barriers. But when people start a journey, instead of looking at that first barrier that they have to get through, they look at the barrier that's out here that's not attainable yet.
Yeah.
So they look at the people, whether it be social media and magazines and movies and this and that, and whether it be financially or, career-wise or physically or anything, they're looking at that barrier that's not attainable yet.
Yeah, right.
Like financially, like they're not looking at breaking through that first barrier. They're just looking at the mansion in the Range Rover and
exactly.
Rolls-Royce. And you're not at that barrier yet. You have to break through that first barrier.
Yep.
And then when you break through that barrier, you break through the next barrier. And you break through each pillar until you get to that barrier where you're like, this is actually an attainable goal now.
Right.
And it makes it more manageable to stay on track instead of feeling like your goals are so far out of reach.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and what I was thinking of the whole time when you were saying this is the idea that, the Air Force, and if you're not an Air member, and maybe you're a soldier listening to this, or a Marine or sailor or whatever, whoever's listening today, a spouse even, right? You have these fitness goals, but the problem is you don't even know what you really want to achieve or attain. Mm-hmm. You should be in shape, but do I go run 10 miles? Do I lift heavy? Do I lift, no weights? Do I do 5 days a week, 7 days a week, 2.5 days a week, 30 minutes of cardio, 45 minutes of weight training? I think this is the problem people have, is they just don't know how to get out of the gate. Yep. So to your point, they're seeing what they might want to look like or how they want to feel, but they have no idea how to get there. Mm-hmm. So here's what I want to ask you specifically. So let's focus on a couple things. Okay. You have folks that are listening that are in their minds are saying, I know I need to do this. I know I got to get in shape. What would you say for someone who right now isn't really doing much exercise at all or effort at all? Give some resources or some tips on how they can break that initial barrier to get started.
Okay, so
practically speaking,
first barrier obviously is just show up. I say to people all the time, whether it be like someone who's coming to me specifically for fitness advice or just people I see in general, I would rather work with somebody who showed up 2-3 days consistently every week and put in the work, rather than somebody who went 7 days straight and then for 1 month.
Yeah.
2 to 3 days a week consistent every single month, than somebody who's shows up 7 days a week for 1 month and then doesn't go again for another 2 months.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
So the first step is, just showing up. Even if you don't know what you're doing, just show up. I think the second step is to have an attainable goal. Everybody, in some regard, you're going to kind of know what you want to do. Some people Some people really want to just, be strong, be big. They don't care about running fast. They don't care about being mobile, athletic, anything like that. Some people just want to, maintain. Maybe you're already like slender, you have a good frame. You just want to maintain what you're doing. Some people are like, maybe you're really skinny. You're like, I need to pack on some muscle. Or maybe some people are a little heavier and you're like, I need to slim down. I guess the next thing is, identify yourself. You look at yourself in the mirror every day. I know even me being in the gym all these years now, body dysmorphia is a real thing. So there's constantly something that I'm looking in the mirror every day and seeing that I still don't like about myself, even after all these years. Even after all these years, I feel like I'm still not where I want to be.
Yeah.
So I think every single person in your mind, because you see yourself every day, realistically what it is that you want to look like. Everybody's goal is different, obviously.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think your first thing is find out exactly what goal you're trying to attain, and then you can come up with the best avenue on how to attain that goal.
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer in like mentorship too. Find somebody who's an expert in what you're trying to achieve.
Yep.
Whether you're into bodybuilding or CrossFit or calisthenics or powerlifting, whatever the case may be. Find somebody who's an expert in what you're trying to achieve and try and absorb knowledge from them. Pick their brain. Hey, what did you do when you first started? What kind of workouts were you doing? How much cardio were you doing? Most of the time, people in the fitness industry have no problem, giving you tips, giving you workouts.
Yeah.
And really, you just got to ask questions.
Yes.
Like I said, when I first started in the gym, I would go in the gym and I would just do every single machine. And then I would do cardio, and I really had no idea what was going on. I would just go on like every single machine,
right.
And I would do cardio, and then I would be like, and I had no sense of how to recover, what to eat. Like I was all over the place,
yep.
And it wasn't until I started finding these mentors, people who've been in the gym and were doing different things, and I'm kind of like, all right, this person's rolling in CrossFit, this person's rolling in bodybuilding. What do I want to do? And I was learning from people that I seen that were where I want to be.
Sure.
So you need to find in fitness, you need to find a mentor, somebody who's gonna kind of steer you on the right path. So many people in the fitness industry also too is there's so many different workouts out there. There's so many different fad diets, so many different people that'll tell you like this is the only way to get lean, this is the only way to put on muscle, and that's not true because everybody's body composition is different.
Yes.
So male, female, height, weight, like whether it's hard for you to lose weight, hard for you to gain weight.
Right.
Your metabolism, everybody's on a different level. So if you find somebody that's realistic and telling you like, do these things, see how they work for you. If it's not working for you, do these things. You need to be adaptable. So that's the hard thing too, is people will try something and then it won't work for them. And they'll be like, this doesn't work. And they'll quit on themselves. Never quit on yourself. The gym is not a one-size-fits-all thing. You need to adapt. You need to be willing to try different things, try different meal plans, try different workouts. What works, really well for somebody. You might see somebody that's like just unbelievably strong and jacked, and you're like doing the same things as them, and it's just not giving you the same results. Everybody's body is completely different.
Yeah.
And can't really take social media and be like,
yeah, right, and just follow. Just say, "Oh, look how jacked he is or she is." Just follow that plan. It's not always going to work for you. And when people do, then they give up. They're like, "Well, this isn't for me. There must be some other magic pill to it." But so, I just to recap a couple of things you said, because I think it's super important, is the number of days a week. Folks get really wrapped around this, like I got to do 5 days or 6, 2 to 3. I'll just share my personal story for me. So about a year ago. Coming out of the pandemic mindset where I put on some weight, which maybe you did too, I don't know, but people put weight on. And I wanted to change my workout. And I knew that 5 days a week for me was actually too much because of my life outside of work. Yep. It's just too much for me. It's even too much. I was tired at work at times just because I beat my body up. So I found something, and I've been doing it for 1 year now. I've lost, and my goal was to get lean. I did a lot of research online. And I followed some different programs. And again, I hodgepodge some things together. I was determined. I just said, no, I'm losing this extra chub I put on from the pandemic. I lost 25 pounds. I'm working four days a week, 45-minute workouts. That is all I'm doing. It's working for me. Works for you. And so I love the fact that you said, and I was foot stomped this, if you're listening to this, just start out 2 to 3 days a week. That's all you need, as Chelsea mentioned as well, because she's right. You can go 1 month hard every day, and then you're done. You give up. You want to be put yourself in a situation where it's sustainable and manageable for you.
Yep.
So 2-3 days is better than nothing, and you will see results from it as you move through your workouts. So I want to foot stomp that. I'm glad you shared it. And the second thing is you nailed something, and this isn't even just for fitness. This is for everything in life, for our finances, for career growth, for relationships, for buying a vehicle, buying a home. Find someone who's been there and done it. A couple people even, right? And I did that same thing. I found a few people that diets worked for them, or this kind of food worked, or that kind of weight training worked, and I adapted it for myself. So that's key right there.
Yep. People have too much ego. I don't know if it's ego or self-pride or self-doubt to ask questions. I have so many mentors, and people actually look to me as a mentor in some aspects of their life, and I'm like, I don't look at myself as that way, but some people do. I guess maybe, when you put in the work, you put in the work, you put in the work. If you're consistent and you're dedicated and you're disciplined, people are going to want to do what you're doing at some point and be like, how are you able to do this? How are you able to do that? I always say just start with a small attainable goal. There's times, even after all these years in the gyms, there's times where some weeks I make it to the gym only 2 days a week. And really I like to go more. But, sometimes it doesn't always work that way. But I know, even if I'm only going 2 days a week, if I'm putting in the work, if I'm going only 2 days a week, but I'm going a whole entire year, I'm going to maintain or see progress over that year.
Yeah, that's a great point. Great point. Not to give up.
And I get it. Like, life gets busy. I'm married. I have a kid. I'm in school full time. I work full time. So I get it. It gets very hard. And sometimes, but people often will use that as a crutch or as an excuse on why they can't do something.
Yeah.
Instead of, just putting their head down, just do the work.
Right.
Do the work. You have to.
Sure.
You can't, if you constantly make an excuse, a year from now, you'd be like, if I would have just started a year ago, I'd be in a totally different place than I am today.
Yeah.
Whether it be, physically, financially, socially, career-wise, anything.
Yeah, right.
You're never going to be there if you don't just start, but people they make the excuse, and it's unfortunate, but it's so common.
Yeah,
so.
It is. And I think, again, the other thing is when you hear, and this is a common theme you'll hear in life sometimes, when you go to work, even working full-time here in the military, you got to balance your life. You got to balance, and we hear that, but we don't really sometimes grasp what that really means. Because for me, the first thing I hear about balance, I think of a scale that has equal weight on one end and equal on the other. But if you break out these, your spiritual, social, mental, and physical areas, there's no way you can't put equal time into, for instance, developing a relationship is going to take a lot more time than doing a 30-minute workout 5 days a week, right?
Yep.
So I think in our minds we get caught up like, well, I just don't have time to do it. Well, again, I just said for me, I do a 45-minute workout. I got super lean. I feel great. I'm teaching my oldest son, who's 13. He's coming in and hitting the gym with me, and I got the program I've been sharing with people here on base as well. And again, I'm telling them adapt it to your own body style, but it's only 45 minutes, 4 days a week. That is nothing compared to the rest of the time I have to do other things.
Yep.
And I'm staying lean, and I feel great. So we got to remember that when we try to balance our lives, it's not about equal time. It's about just giving effort and doing something consistent in those 4 areas.
Yeah, not about equal time. It's about making time.
Making time, prioritizing it. So, give some folks some how can here it's a little different because we're full time. We're allocated 3 hours a week to actually work out during the workday. Some of our part timers though, or some that just can't do it. What good advice can you give them on how they can prioritize and be able to make time to get to the gym?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wasn't always full time on base. So there was a point in time when I started my fitness journey and I was in the Army, or when I first came to the 111th, I was working a civilian job. So it was like an 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, and I would still make the time. I would go to work. I would work all day. I would immediately after work, I would go straight to the gym and I would work out. And I was doing that Monday through Friday. Like I said, you don't have to do 5 days a week.
Yeah.
That's
what you chose to do.
Fitness is my avenue. Like if I worked all day, I look forward to going to the gym because that's unwinding for me.
Yeah.
Some people have other ways that they unwind. Some people like to, sit and watch TV or play games or whatever the case may be. I personally am like, it's fine. You know, I enjoy watching my TV. I enjoy, you know, sitting back, relaxing, not doing anything to play the PlayStation once in a while, whatever the case may be. But I still make sure that I'm dedicating that time to fitness, making sure I, you know, at least get in the gym some portion of my week, or making time to study and learn new things or read. I like to read a lot of educational books. Not really into like the fiction stories, things like that. I like to read really like educational books about like mentality, mindset, or financial books, things like that. Or I take the time to like study something new that I want to learn. Like during the pandemic, I got really big into like running your own online businesses.
Nice.
And like the stock market, about the foreign exchange market, learning about new things that eventually are gonna, you know, they start creating passive income for you, and then that builds you up in like your career and, you know, your financial aspects of life. So I started taking less time kind of just chilling, you know, and doing the whole like, now I'm at a point where I feel like if I'm watching TV, I could be doing something more productive.
Like you're cheating yourself or
Like
something.
I'm cheating myself,
yeah,
exactly.
Right.
So it's kind of a mind game too, because now I'm like constantly like beating myself up. Like if I'm relaxing, I'm like, oh, I should be doing something else. But you know, you have to take time to do stuff like that too, and just do nothing.
Absolutely.
Just unwind, no phone, just watch TV or just hang out with family, friends, whatever the case may be. But you know, make time for everything. I make the time for the gym every week. Make the time to make sure, you know, I'm doing my job at work, doing what needs to be asked, like doing the things that are asked of me, making sure I'm spending time with my family, making sure that I'm spending time for self-improvement. Just all these different things is just making the time. And like you said, it doesn't have to be the same amount of time, but if you do these things consistently, then in all aspects of your life, it'll be healthy. Your relationships will be healthy. You know, career, physically, mentally, socially, like you're gonna, all the relationships and all the things in your life and how you feel about yourself and where you're going are gonna start to improve.
Absolutely, yeah. So what I heard you say a few times is you prioritize it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like for me, I look at, and I tell my wife this too, going to work is a priority, because if you don't show up to work, you don't get paid. You know, you're not a part of the team.
You have to go. Yeah.
I view my workouts the same way. It's a priority for me. It's not a negotiable. Mm-hmm. Now again, I get it. Something happens and you can't, like you said, you miss a day here or there. That's not that's what I'm talking about. Because you miss work sometimes too. You're sick. You have you take days off.
And, you know, I have a kid, so it's like sometimes like
that's
if
right.
my kid is sick, he misses daycare, or something. I have to miss work, or I have to miss a workout because my son is homesick, and you know, like say like my wife's at work, you know, or he has an appointment, we have an appointment,
right,
or we have a birthday dinner, you know. Sometimes, all right, I miss the gym, I have to miss the gym, but you know, I sacrifice that because I need to prioritize that time to the other things in my life at that moment. Yep. But I always go back to that as a priority too. Yeah. Even if I miss one day. Right.
So that's the whole point here, is the prioritization, right? Mm-hmm. And the fact is, don't get hung up if your schedule gets altered for a day because you have to call out of work for a day to take care of your family. You don't quit your job. Yeah. So if you have to miss the gym for a day, you don't stop working out. Don't quit your fitness goals because one day. So it's developing that mindset. So, you know, Chelsea, you shared some good stuff today with the audience, with me. I've been inspired watching you the past several years. I used to see you all the time in the gym. Our schedules are different now, so I lift at a different time, but I know you're still getting after it. I see you here. You come in, you change, and you get out there and you hit the gym, and it's inspiring. And people are looking and watching what we do. So with you being on this podcast, now folks that listen might not know you because we share this pretty broadly, but there are folks on our base that might that might know you, that listen to this. And so here's what I'll encourage, and I won't ask you to share your contact info. They know where to find you. You're in recruiting. Yeah. But if someone has a question, you know, reach out to Chelsea. She'll guide you. She'll at least help you get on a path. Mm-hmm. Am I speaking out of line there?
No.
Will you help somebody? All right, good. I should have asked you that first, but no, I know you will. So
my wife all the time tells me that I don't shut up and I talk all day. But I love talking to people. I love helping people. Like, awesome. You know, all over the base. Like, when it, you know, in any area of their life, whether it's like advice or like, oh, how did you do this? Or like, you know, Woods. That's my brother.
LT Woods.
Like, I can't tell you how many things like he's taught me or I taught him, and we go back and forth all the time. Definitely. And like, I love when people come up to me and ask me questions like, how do I do this? How do I do that? I really like doing that like mentorship type role and just feeling like I gave somebody some knowledge that they didn't have before that I hope that they, go and utilize, or that they, try out, or that it works out for them. Like,
Awesome.
hey, I did what you said, and, it really paid off, and, I like hearing stuff like that. So I have no problem, like, having conversations with people, helping people.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it's a shame, sometimes people are, like, they feel like they're too good to help somebody else, like, like you have to pay your dues like I did. But at the same time, they forget that they were once that person asking all the questions too.
That's right.
So I'm never going to be that person, because I'm still not, I'm not the best, and I'm still not where I want to be either. I'm still constantly learning from people who are, in different places than me.
Right.
So
I remember meeting you several years ago. You and I think we hit it off almost immediately, because I think we connected with the Army. But we were sharing a lot of things. Like, I know you bought the house recently, and I saw you navigate your career, and that's exciting to me. And so I think people will be inspired just hearing what you've had to share today, not even just about fitness, but about who you are. I think it's important. But to just foot stomp as we close this session, again, I know if you need some help and you have any questions, Chelsea's here to answer those questions. She'll talk recruiting, she'll talk finances, she'll talk fitness. So that's awesome. And you have a child now too, so you could talk about parenting at this point as well.
Yeah,
but
parenting is the new obstacle.
It's the new obstacle, yeah. But the three things that I've learned from you today and picked up on, I've learned stuff from you over the years, but specifically for this podcast is just get after it. Show up to the gym 2 to 3 days a week. Just get going, number one. Number two, find a mentor.
Yep.
This could be someone equal rank, lower rank. If you got to reach
someone
up.
That you know or don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter who it is. But just get some help. Figure a good plan out for you. Stick to it. The third and most important thing is, and this really should be the first thing you do. There's no order here. You got to prioritize getting after this thing and making fitness just part of, like, working, like eating every day, because your stomach is hungry, you're going to find food. Fitness should become that aspect in our lives, because it helps us make us a whole and healthy person. So Chelsea, I really appreciate this sit down today. We could probably keep talking forever. Maybe I'll have you on another topic too. Who knows?
Just the biggest thing, like, is when people see that you are disciplined enough to take care of yourself physically, that shows that you have respect for yourself.
I forgot that's a good one. That's right. So the fourth idea is that you're actually exhibiting respect for who you are, because you care about this temple, if you will. This is important to maintain and stay healthy. I
mean, it's a shame, but when you see people that are, like, extremely overweight and things like that, and, they'll make every kind of excuse sometimes on the sun, like why they can't do this, why they can't do that. It's showing that you don't have, like, discipline. You got to have respect for yourself. Respect for yourself to constantly want better for yourself. And that's just really what it is.
Well, again, Chelsea, thanks so much for sharing. I'm glad you guys tuned in again to the Balance Podcast. As this podcast continues to unfold, again, if you're listening to this and you have some feedback about what other topics we could talk about, please reach out to me, Chaplain Repic, here at the 111th Attack Wing, and I'd love to bring in some guests, experts, folks that have been there, done it, and are willing to share their life with you, so that we can make sure that you are hitting those 4 pillars and are successful not only at work but in life in general. So, again, Balance Podcast. Chelsea, thanks again for coming by, and have a great day, guys. We're out. Take care.
See ya.